everybody. How is everybody doing tonight? Thank you for stopping by. It's always appreciated. We got a lot of good people in the chat tonight. I appreciate every one of you. We got Tyler James Outdoors. How's it going, buddy? Bass and Binks TV. Special hello to you. That Murder Inc. How is it going? Thanks for stopping by. It's much appreciated. The Common Man's Fly Fishing. How is it going? We got Florida Pirate. How's it going, buddy? And the incredible Big D Chopper. How is it going? Thank you all for stopping by. Back Road Freedom. Hello. I hope your night is going fantastic. A lot of good people out there, and I always appreciate you guys stopping by. It means a lot to me. I hope everybody is having a great week. Has anybody got any adventures or anything planned for the weekend? I know Jackson and we are planning on doing an overnight stay out in the ice house Saturday night into Sunday. That'll be our first overnight of the year out on the ice. We usually try to get out there and spend a few overnights during the ice fishing season. It's fun to do that. Our ice house we have set up with some cots, and we do some cooking and out there, so it's always a great time. It's kind of like camping out on the frozen lake, so that's always fun. Bass and Bink says, I don't think I have anything planned. We're open Hook and Hunt TV. How's it going, buddy? Thanks for stopping by. It's always appreciated. I think we're going to plan on doing some spearing during the day on Saturday, and then we'll angle in the ice house during the night and see if we can't catch some nighttime crappies out on the lake. Logan Rowe, how's it going, buddy? Hey, weekend, how long are you going to be on? I plan on being on for a few hours anyway, and if YouTube kicks me off again, I will just start another live right away. So, plan on being on for at least 2 hours. We have posted our spearfishing video here on Sunday. If you haven't checked that out yet, I would appreciate it if anybody would go check that out. Had a lot of good response on that. A lot of people asking me about the ice saw that we use to cut a hole in the ice, which is pretty cool. That those ice saws, they make short work of opening up a big hole in the ice. It's got big serrated teeth on it, and each one is pretty sharp. And you just go up and down. It's kind of like a handsaw, but just a really big version of that. And it makes quick work. Even sawing through 16 inches of ice is really just like cutting hot butter. Bass and Bink says, I hit 212 last night. Well, congratulations, buddy. Hook and Hunt TV says he's at 42 and gaining subs fast. Well, congratulations on that. There's a lot of good people in the chat. Mingle amongst yourselves. Check each other out. I encourage you guys to do that. The only thing I ask is just don't use the subscribe word in the chat. Instead, go over to somebody's channel, pull up their video, leave them a nice comment, and hit their like button, and get to know each other. Common Man's Fly Fishing says, high winds and rain here, so just fly tying. Yeah, it's been windy here also up in Minnesota. Today we had 30-mile-an-hour winds with gusts up over 40, so it was a pretty windy day today. It's blowing down some cold air today. We're supposed to get down in the single digits tonight. Tomorrow it's supposed to be pretty cold also. Then we're going to warm back up into the mid-20s. So, Bass and Binks, I am not sure if she's going to stop by or not. Right now she is putting the kids to bed, so I would suspect after they're all tucked in, she might come down and say hi for a second. Looking Hunt TV said, seeing quite a few deer over Ohio's muzzleloader, missed one. Well, that's too bad. Was it a good sized one, or how long does your season run for down there? Tiger Muskie, how's it going? Thanks for stopping by. Much appreciated. Good to see you. J&C No Limit TV is in the house. How's it going, buddy? I hope everything is well. Who Can Hunt TV said it was a little doe. Well, how far away was it, do you think? Do you guys get to use scopes on your muzzleloader during that season, or they just changed that up here in Minnesota? It used to be where you couldn't use a scope sight on your muzzleloader during muzzleloader season, but it was last year they changed that rule, and now they allow you to use scopes on the muzzleloaders. Tiger Muskie, I'm doing fantastic. Thanks for asking. We got a big fishing trip planned this weekend. We're going to do an overnight, me and Jackson, in our ice house. It'll be our first overnight of the year. We're planning on going out there on Saturday, doing some more spear fishing, and then we'll head over to the angling house and set up camp for the night and spend the night out there. Jane C. No Limit TV says, hello everyone in the chat. Please leave a thumbs up for Weekend Wire. If you haven't hit that like button, please do so. It's always appreciated. We went out ice fishing again this last weekend. It was a little slow. Jackson did get to throw the spear again on Sunday though, and he did hit his first fish, so that was pretty good. He's been, I think he's thrown the spear 4 or 5 times now, and he finally got his first fish on Sunday, so he was pretty proud of that. It was 23-inch northern, so not a bad first spear fish. We've been fishing the same lake all year. It's been kind of slow off and on. My dad did get his biggest northern a couple weeks ago though. It was actually on New Year's Day. We went out spearfishing. That was our first outing of the year for spearing, and that was his biggest fish of his life actually. 7.5 pounds. It was a good fish. We got that all on film and released that video this past Sunday. It was a really good experience and really fun to share that with my dad. Jackson was there too, so it was pretty cool. That Murder Inc. says that is awesome. It was pretty cool. He was pretty stoked about it. The fish came in really quick. He didn't have a whole lot of time to get nervous or anything. And after he threw the spear, I think he was getting a little nervous after that. But he got a good throw at it. I did throw my spear at it too, just to make sure that it wasn't going to come off or anything. But we got it up, and it was a pretty good fish for him. Tiger Muskie says, how do you guys cook them? I cook them all kinds of different ways. My dad actually cooked that fish. He cooked it in a slow cooker, which I have never done for fish, but he did. He tried that. He said that was pretty good. And then the rest of it he boiled in some butter sauce stuff. But I like it fried. I like this kind of fish chowder my wife makes too, which is pretty good, where she bakes it in the oven with a sauce, and that's really good too. But fried is probably how I eat fish the most. Fried with a little bit of different types of breading and stuff. I'm actually going to do a cooking catch video, I think, one of my next ones, where we'll go out and catch some panfish and stuff, and then we'll go through on how I clean them and scale them, and then how we cook them. I think it'll be kind of an interesting video. But it was pretty cool doing our first spearing video. I had a lot of comments, a lot of private messages too on how we do that, and a lot of people thought it was pretty interesting how we cut the hole in the ice. We tend to get some pretty thick ice around here. Sometimes we'll use a chainsaw to get through the ice too. We have to take the oilers out of the chainsaws to be legal around in Minnesota though. So you remove that from your chainsaw, and then that makes pretty quick work of cutting a big hole in the ice too. One thing that we found though, cutting a lot of holes in the ice with that, is you don't want to cut all the way through right away. You want to get your square kind of made and then go through, because otherwise you flip up a bunch of water and you can get pretty messy using a powered chainsaw. But the ice saw though, I'll cut holes through some pretty thick ice with that. It takes off such a big chunk of ice with each stroke up and down that it doesn't take much effort to cut through some pretty thick ice with that. But right now we don't have anything really going on up here besides ice fishing. Might do some predator hunting here and there, but I'm just waiting for spring turkey season to start before we do any more serious hunting. We got the lottery deadline is the 25th of January here, so I got to get my application in over the next couple weeks, and hopefully I'll get drawn again for the season that I want to hunt, which kind of overlaps my birthday in April, so I always like hunting that season. Mr. Rocker Vlogs, how's it going, buddy? Thanks for stopping by, much appreciated. How is your night going? But here in Minnesota with the turkey season, there's several 1 week seasons that they do. And anyway, the first 2 seasons you have to apply for a lottery. They only give out so many tags in so many zones for the very first 2 seasons. So if you want to hunt those, you gotta apply for the lottery and get drawn. Otherwise, the other seasons are all just over the counter. But I like hunting that very first season in April. It aligns with my birthday, and I kind of like hunting right over my birthday. Plus, I like hunting the first season before anybody else starts hunting them, before they start wising up to some calls and stuff. Bass and Binks TV says, I'm waiting to go down to Hook and Hunt TV's cabin here in a couple of weeks. Yeah, good luck, guys. I hope you find some success down there. Mr. Rocker Vlog says, going good. Well, I'm glad to hear, buddy. I know Tyler James, he's trying to get to 400. I believe he's sitting at 389. If anybody wants to go check out Tyler James, I encourage you to do so. Go over to his channel, pull up one of his videos, hit that thumbs up button for him, and leave him a nice little comment. Bass and Binks says, a buck or doe, I'll take it. That's right. They both really taste the same, and deer meat is pretty good. So I actually got some mule deer meat that a buddy of mine gave me the other day. When he was out in Montana, he ended up shooting a mule deer out there, and he just got that back and gave me a few steaks off of that deer. So we're gonna probably cook those up tomorrow and have some mule deer steaks. He goes out there, he's been going out there the last couple of years to do some elk hunting, and then he also gets a mule deer license too when he's out there. Let's see, I think he's gone out there the last 3 years, and so far he hasn't gotten a elk yet, but this past season he came really close to getting one. He was calling them in off of a ridge, and one younger bull came pretty much charging into him to that call. Ended up being about 12 yards away from him. He jumped a fence and he pulled back and let the arrow fly, but he just ended up missing that deer and did not get it. But it was really cool. He got a little bit of it on video, and it was pretty cool to watch that big elk come running towards that call. That Murder Inc. says, how does mule deer taste compared to whitetail? I'll let you know tomorrow. This will be the first time that I have eaten mule deer. So I am not 100% sure on that, but I will find out tomorrow when we eat some of those steaks. Just by looking at it though, it is just a little darker. I don't know why that is, but the meat is just a little darker compared to a whitetail. Sweet and Savory, how's it going? Thanks for stopping by. Much appreciated. I hope your night is going fantastic. That's one of the few things that I have not eaten, nor have I ever tried hunting for mule deer. And then my friend that gave me it, this is actually, I think, his first mule deer too. He has not tried it before either, so it's kind of something new for both of us. But it wasn't a bad buck that he got. They were hunting a pretty big ranch out there that they're friends with, and there was a couple, about a dozen or so mule deer with that one buck in there, and they were standing out in the middle of a field, so they kind of did a little stalk on it, and ended up getting pretty close, about 50 yards or so, and he ended up getting that thing. So The Real Travis Scott, how's it going, buddy? Good to see you. I hope your night is going fantastic. If It Fits, It Bakes, how's it going, buddy? Thanks for stopping by. Much appreciated. Sweet and Savory, what kind of meat is it? We're talking about mule deer. I had a buddy go out to Montana back when they had their season on, and he got a mule deer, and he just got that back from the butcher house the other day, so he handed me a couple steaks, packs of steaks. So I've never eaten mule deer before, so this is kind of a first, and my buddy, this is his first mule deer too, so it's kind of a first for us. I've eaten a lot of whitetail deer. The meat is just a little darker than a whitetail deer if you've ever eaten whitetail, but I think it'll be pretty good though. Plan on just cooking it up with a light seasoning, maybe a little salt and pepper and a little seasoned salt or something like that. Maybe a little bit of butter, and just trying it out and seeing what it tastes like. The Real Travis Scott says, yes sir, thinking about doing a live stream myself. Well, that would be cool. Have you ever, I don't remember, have you ever gone live before? Or? Sweet and Savor said, never had either. JNC No Limit says, sorry, we can wear. Do you know HK2 Productions? Yes, I do know him. Hacker got him and deleted all his people and videos. Oh my, that is not good. Wow, that would suck. I do know him though, yeah. He comes by, watches my videos, I watch his. He's a good channel. Did that just happen today, or this is the first I've heard about that? If It Fits, It Bakes, as I've heard, it's kind of sagey, assuming they eat a lot of sagebush, I guess. Yeah, I think you're right too. I have heard that before. I'll find out tomorrow, but I have heard that it does taste a little different because of that. A&J Outdoors, how's it going, buddy? Thanks for stopping by. I hope your day is going fantastic. Goobert's Outdoors, how's it going, buddy? He says, hey brother, Thursday I'll be sending your gift. All right, sounds fantastic. Much appreciated. JNC No Limit says, I was just talking to him. Not good. Don't know when. Well, that really sucks. I hope, I don't know if there's something that he can do to try to get that stuff back or not. I don't know if YouTube like backs that stuff up or not. Or hopefully he has backups of his videos and stuff so he can at least re-upload them maybe on a new channel or something like that. A&J Outdoors says, good, thanks. Well, I'm glad to hear that. And guys, if you haven't already, please smash that like button. It's always appreciated. And if you haven't already, hit my subscribe button. And don't forget to check each other out too in the chat. The only thing I ask is please don't use the subscribe word. Instead, go over to each other's channels, click on one of their videos, hit their thumbs up, and leave them a good comment. Bass and Binks TV says, that's why I have my videos backed up in case something were to happen. Yeah, I also have all my stuff backed up. I keep all my thumbnails and all my videos backed up. There is no way to back up like your subscribers, but it would suck if something did happen like that. To try to get everybody back, it would take a lot of effort, take a lot of time, but yeah, I keep backups of all my videos too. Not only just in case if something went wrong, but you know, I really like having all the videos. That way my kids, my grandkids and everything, and so forth and so on, they have all those videos forever, and they can go look back in a couple generations from now and then say how crazy great grandpa was back in the day making YouTube videos. But I've heard about that a few times where people get hacked or even just YouTube deletes their channel and stuff, and without any warning all your stuff is gone like that. That would more than suck. A&J Outdoors, got to run, but it's good seeing and talking with you. Well, thanks for stopping by. I hope you have a fantastic night. JNC buddy, is your boy home yet, or did he get to come home? My brother, he's been trying to, well, he's been thinking about buying an ice castle here. I think he's probably going to. He was going to call a guy tonight that has one for sale, so if he ends up buying that, I think we're going to end up doing like a trip up to the Lake of the Woods and stuff with it, so stay tuned for that. Maybe we'll have a cool overnight weekend video or something up at the Lake of the Woods here coming up soon. Jane C says, yes, last night, all is good, healing up good. Well, that's fantastic, buddy. I'm glad to hear that. Goober's Outdoors says, I'm out, get with you Thursday. All right, well, thanks for stopping by, buddy. I hope you have a great night. Yeah, he's looking at getting a nice ice castle. He wants to not only use it for ice fishing during the ice fishing season, but then he also wants to use it as a camper during the summer too. He wants to rent a little camping lot on a lake somewhere and park it over the summer too, so he can go on the weekends and whatnot and kind of have a little lake house too. So that'll be pretty cool for him. I don't quite have something that fancy, but maybe one day. But I've stayed out in Ice Castle a couple times. They are pretty cool. It's pretty much like a mini house out on the lake. You got pretty much a full kitchen. They got bathrooms, and some of them have like couches and everything in them. It's pretty crazy. The house that we made is pretty nice, though. We just made an 8x8 house. We got 4 holes in that house. We can put up a couple cots in there. We also rigged it up with 12-volt power, so I have a converter too that will convert it to 120, so that way we can like plug in like a regular TV and stuff in there too. And during the Super Bowl and stuff, we'll go out there and watch the game out on the ice and do some fishing. So that's pretty fun. Bass and Minks TV says, "What bows do you and Misty use?" So I myself shoot a Hoyt. It's an older Hoyt, but I bought it from my brother, who bought it from one of my other friends. That bow has shot a lot of deer. I would say that bow has probably shot upwards of 60 or so deer now, I would imagine, something along those lines. I really like it. Misty shoots a diamond. She had got that 2 years ago. I got it for our anniversary, and she has killed 1 deer with it so far. She is 1 for 1 though when it comes to hunting seasons anyway. She did not hunt this last year, but so she's actually only gone archery hunting 1 season, but she was successful that season, so she shoots that bow pretty good. I can't believe how light the bow is. It's extremely light. The poundage is set down to 45 pounds. Mine is set at 70. And the difference between her bow and mine, I could hold her bow back basically all day. Mine I can hold back for about 5 minutes or so before I start shaking a little bit, but mine shoots pretty fast. I shoot Axis arrows, the skinny ones. I get pretty good speed and penetration with those arrows. PGH Bottom Feeders, how's it going, buddy? Thanks for stopping by. Much appreciated. I hope your night is going fantastic. Bass and Binks, what kind of bow are you shooting? RWA Fishing, how is it going, buddy? I hope everything is great for you. It's good to see you. Have you been doing some bass fishing? PGH Bottom Feeder says 3K Road, here I come. How close are you, buddy? And guys, if you haven't already, please smash that like button. It's always much appreciated. And if you haven't already, hit the subscribe button. And don't forget to check each other out in the chat. A lot of good channels out there. The only thing I ask is please don't use the subscribe word in the chat. Instead, go to somebody's channel, pull up their latest video, click the like button for them, and leave them an awesome comment. J&C says, we can gotta get my boy his night meds. Be right back. No problem, buddy. RWA says, caught 1 bass on Sunday, first of the year. Well, congratulations on your first bass this year. I hope that there's many more to come for you over the year. PGH says he's at 2,363. That is awesome, buddy. Swamp Stalker Outdoors, how's it going? I hope your night is going fantastic. I'm doing awesome tonight. And thank you so much for hitting that like button. Farmhall Fanatic is in the house. How's it going, buddy? Thanks for stopping by. Hope your night is going well. Swamp Stalker says, good, brother. Well, that's good to hear. I'm glad everything's going good for you. Bass and Binks TV. I shoot an old Jennings Buckmaster 2000 with 400 grain gold tip Hunter XT arrows with 100 grain NAP Killzone broadheads. That sounds like a pretty good setup, buddy. Back Road Freedom says, I'm working and listening. Well, it's good to have you, buddy. Much appreciated. I hope work is going well for you. RWA says your spearfishing video was awesome. Well, I appreciate it, buddy. Yeah, I had a lot of good comments on that video. I had some private messages too, asking a lot about the ice saw. A lot of people like that ice saw. That's something that we've used quite a bit to cut holes in the ice. When you want a big spear hole, it works pretty well for that. The saw itself is pretty sharp. And it takes out a pretty good chunk every time that you go up and down with it. It's really doesn't take much effort at all to cut a hole in the ice with it. We will use a chainsaw every once in a while, depending on how thick the ice is. In Minnesota here, we just got to take out the oiler, and then you can use a chainsaw to cut the holes. I prefer to use the handsaw like that, just because it's less messy. When you start using a power chainsaw, you start flinging a lot of water up, and if you don't have the proper clothing on, you can get pretty wet pretty quick, and that's never a good thing in the middle of winter when it's -12 outside and you're trying to cut a hole in the ice and you're getting all wet. Swamp Stalker Outdoor says, I second that. Well, thank you, buddy. Much appreciated. Yeah, the saw is pretty good. It's a really cool tool, and makes quick work of putting a hole in the ice. That day when we were cutting that hole in the ice, that was on New Year's Day when we were out there, and it was -12 degrees that morning, and the high that day was -2, so it was quite cold outside when we were doing that. In the ice house, though, as you can tell, like Jackson was down to his jersey there, and we had our coats off and everything. The house itself was about 70 degrees inside there. I actually had to turn the heater down a couple times because it got so hot in there it was hard to breathe. Kyle Anderson, how's it going, buddy? Thanks for stopping by. I hope your night is going fantastic. I also have another house that we do spearing out of, but I haven't put it on the lake yet. The house that we've been spearing out of is just a pop-up Eskimo house. It is an insulated house, so it does keep the heat in pretty well. But I do have an actual spear house that we've made. It's a skid house that we take out. But RWE says that's the biggest folding pocket knife I've ever seen. Yeah, it's pretty cool. Between the big folding pocket knife and the big fork there, it's some oversized tools to do some spearing. Bass and Binks TV says, have you ever noticed all the big hunting brands are from around your area? Yeah, there's a lot of hunting brands and stuff around here, yeah. Hunting's a pretty big deal in Minnesota, as well as fishing. There's a lot of good YouTubers too in Minnesota with outdoors channels and stuff. I know this past summer, Lunkers TV was up here for, I don't know, a couple weeks even, or 10 days or something like that. He was fishing quite a few lakes around my area up here. I thought about going and stalking him a little bit, but I decided not to. I thought, because I knew some of the lakes that he was fishing, and I thought about going out there and fishing too, and just happening to run by him, but I decided not to. Ever heard of Fishing More? Yes, I am subscribed to Fishing More and follow them too. It's another great channel. They do a lot of fishing around Minnesota. They've been up to the Lake of the Woods already and done some fishing on Red Lake, and they started ice fishing when the ice was like just a couple inches. Land of 1,000 lakes, don't you know? It's land of 10,000 lakes. There's a lot of lakes around here. I think that we probably have about 10,000 long lakes. It seems like there's a long lake. Every other lake is called Long Lake. Another popular name up here for a lake is Loon Lake. There's quite a few loon lakes too. I don't know if when they started naming those lakes back in the day, when they when they came up to it and it looked like it was a long lake, they just said, okay, that one's Long Lake, that one's Long Lake. And then if they seen a loon out on the lake, they're like, okay, that one's Loon Lake. I don't know, but it seemed like the same guy started just naming all the lakes the same names. I don't know. I want to try to get out to Ottertail Lake here in Minnesota. I don't know, it's probably the third best walleye lake or so in Minnesota in my opinion. It's a fairly good sized lake. 57% of the lake is actually under 15 feet, so it's relatively shallow, but yet it's very deep too. The deepest spot is like 105 feet. So it's a really weird lake where the shore, you can go a long ways out and it's like 10 feet. You can walk, they have some swimming beaches and stuff on it, and you can walk out, I swear, like 100 yards and you're up to your waist. And then once you get kind of out in the middle, there's some really deep holes in the lake. So it goes from like 15 feet and it'll just drop off to about 80 feet within like 15 yards. It's just a straight down cliff. And there's something like, you know, I don't know, maybe 10 or 12 of these holes out there. So there's a lot of structure out there. The main shore of the lake, though, is relatively shallow, and it's all gravel and sand. It's really good for walleye fishing. Sea Dub's Journey, how's it going? Thank you for stopping by, my friend. I hope your night is going fantastic. I thought Land of 10,000 Lakes was in Canada. I don't know. They might have that saying too, but yeah, Minnesota saying is the Land of 10,000 Lakes. To be honest, I don't know how many lakes are in Minnesota, but there are a lot of them. There's you know, a fair amount of some large lakes too, but there's a lot of smaller sized lakes. A lot of small, fertile, shallow lakes that have some really good panfish and not so bad bass too. We got a lot of lakes that have good bass fishing. They don't get nearly as big as they do down south though, but you know, you can catch 5-6 pound bass up here, which is a pretty fairly good sized bass for Minnesota, for largemouth anyway. And we have a lot of smallmouth around here. A lot of good smallmouth fishing, and then walleye fishing too. That's probably the most sought after fish in Minnesota is the walleye. But there's a lot of good muskie lakes too around. The DNR started stocking muskies quite some time ago back into some lakes, and they've done pretty well. There's some people that don't like that, but they're getting to the point where some of the muskies are dying from old age now. And last year they had one wash up on shore. I want to say it was in the upper 60-inch range, though. It was just under 70 inches. And they had the mouth on it. And the mouth, I swear, was like this big. You could stick your foot in its mouth and up to your knee. That's how big its head was. So there's some pretty crazy big fish out here in some of these lakes. There are, I don't know, once or twice every summer you hear about a kid or some swimmer getting bit. They can't confirm that it's the fish every single time, but in my opinion, I think some of the fish are biting swimmers and stuff now too, where they're wading out on tubes and stuff and they come up and they bite people's feet. There was one kid around down by the cities that ended up having to get quite a few stitches because their foot got bit by what probably was a muskie, and ended up having to get a lot of stitches in their foot. Jimmy C, how's it going, buddy? Thanks for stopping by. Much appreciated. I hope your night is going fantastic. If you speared a muskie that big, it might pull you in. Yeah, it would. Unfortunately, in Minnesota here, we cannot spear muskies. So you've got to be able to identify your fish down there before you throw a spear. The particular lake that we were spearing in that video, they don't have muskies, but some of the lakes that have muskies, you will see muskies come by, but we can't spear them. The only fish that we can spear here in Minnesota, dark house spearing in the winter anyway, is we can spear northern pike, we can spear catfish, and we can spear any rough fish, so like suckers, carp, stuff like that. We can spear that too. Jimmy C says it's all good, thanks. Well, I'm glad to hear that your night is going fantastic. And then the Minnesota changed the rules too on pike this year. It took effect. They're trying to grow some bigger fish, and so they actually split the state up into 3 zones now. In the zone that I live in, they upped the limit from 3 to 10, and then they put slot limits on the fish. So anything between 22 and 26 inches, if you're angling, you have to throw it back. You cannot keep a northern between there. You can only keep one that's over that. So only one fish that's over 26 inches. With spearing, it's a little bit different. Between the slot, the 22 and the 26, you can keep one of those fish. You can spear one of them. Over that, you can spear 2 or 1 over and 1 in the slot. So we tried not to spear a fish in the slot, but if it is just in there, either just on the overside or just on the underside, you can spear 1 fish within the slot. Grant McIntosh, how's it going, buddy? Thanks for stopping by. It's always appreciated. I hope your night is going fantastic. And guys, if you haven't already, please hit that like button. It's always appreciated. And hit the subscribe button if you haven't already. I think all of you have, but it's always appreciated if you do. And don't forget to check each other out. A lot of good people out there in the chat. The only thing I ask is don't use a subscribe word in the chat. Instead, go to somebody's channel, pull up their last video, hit that like button for them, and leave them a great comment. Bass and Bink says it seems like every state you can bow fish or spear carp. Yeah, it seems like that's the way. Here in Minnesota you can too. You can bow fish for carp and then of course spear them. But that's one thing I have not done. I want to though. I want to do some bow fishing. I have a really good spot now to do it. I found a little river this summer that basically nobody fishes in, and it has a lot of fish in it. And not only does it have some good walleye fishing and smallmouth bass fishing, but we've seen schools of huge carp in there, and I think it would be a lot of fun to do some bow fishing in that river. Not only that, but I think it would be really fun just to set up and catch them on hook and line too. Swamp Stalker Outdoors says, so if it's like Florida, you need to keep a regulation book in your back pocket. Just about. They have a lot of rules and regulations on pretty much anything. There's even some special rules for particular lakes in Minnesota too. So now with the introduction of zones where there's different rules for different parts of the state, there's also different rules for different lakes in the state. There's different rules for border waters too, so the waters that are bordering Canada have their own rules, the waters that are bordering North Dakota has their own rules, and so forth and so on. So yes, They don't make it simple. Jimmy C says, I can't do either here. Well, that's unfortunate. I like spearing. It's kind of mixing hunting with fishing. So it's kind of unique that way. It reminds me a lot of hunting, but then yet you're fishing. Grant McIntosh says, I am great. I hope you are too. I'm doing fantastic, buddy, and I'm glad to hear that you're doing great. Grant has worm on the menu. Yeah, he's getting close to that, isn't he? What did you say? The 10th, I think it is. 1,000 before the 10th or on the 10th. Papa Roams Outdoors. How's it going, buddy? Thanks for stopping by. I hope your night is going fantastic. RW says, looks like you might have to fish with your lawyer. Yeah. There was quite a few years ago. There was a lawyer actually out fishing in Minnesota. And so he sued the state because, so he was out fishing. He had fish in his live well and he was over the limit. He was actually breaking the law. He had too many fish in his live well. And anyway, the DNR stopped him, and the DNR looked into his live well and then wrote him a ticket. So him being a lawyer sued the state, saying that they needed to have a search warrant to be able to look in his live well. He ended up losing that case, but he actually sued the state for looking in his live well. It is actually stated in the rule book that they can look in your live well. But he thought he had grounds because they didn't have a search warrant, and he felt like they needed to have that to be able to look in his live well and see the fish in it. It was a pretty big deal at the time, and me and a buddy actually got interviewed from the local news station because we went out fishing on a lake. It was like the day after or something that they announced that he was going to sue the state. And so the local TV station went out to the public accesses and was interviewing them and asking people what they thought about the case. So it was pretty funny. Cole Outdoors, how's it going, buddy? Good to see you. I hope your night is going fantastic. And if I am not mistaken, it's your guys' anniversary today, so happy anniversary. Swamp Stalker Outdoors says, guess he wasn't a good lawyer. No, I don't think so. RWSA, bad boys, what you gonna do? Bass and Binks, that sounds funny. Yeah, it was pretty comical at the time. How far away are you now, Cole? To the 1K. I know you've been growing really fast. Cole says, I'm trying to follow Grant McIntosh around until he's live. You're YouTube stalking him, huh? Grant McIntosh says, I'll be going live at 10:30 Central tonight to say thank you for 1K. I'll be eating the worm Thursday evening. Well, that'll be a fun live stream. What time are you doing that on Thursday? That'll be funny. Between you eating a worm and Jag and his bikini and Rocco and and what he's doing, it's there's a lot of good stuff that's going to happen here with all these milestones being hit. I I kind of wish that I thought of something like that to do at 1,000. I didn't even think about doing something crazy like that. I'm going to have a vote. I'm off work Thursday, thinking about 7 Central. Well, I'll definitely be there, buddy. Cole Outdoor says, be right back, asking Bruce Studios a quick question. You betcha, buddy. Papa Roams Outdoors. I was thinking of doing a death ride at 2K in boxers on my motorcycle. It's 20 Fahrenheit here right now. I actually see, up here in Minnesota, I'll see somebody riding around their motorcycle a few times during the winter. It's quite funny. They'll be all bundled up in a snowmobile suit and stuff and driving down the road. Anytime that the roads get a little dry, somebody's taking their bike out for a ride. Grant McIntosh says it was Jimmy C's idea. Well, I think it's fitting with the worms that you have and stuff. It's fitting to eat one. I actually know quite a few people that have eaten worms, especially me and my buddies when we're out on the boat and stuff. Well, of course, dare each other to eat something. You know, bite a head off of a fish, or eat a minnow or a worm or something like that. So I've been there and done that. And Jimmy C is, I'm an instigator. Bass and Binks TV says, if I get a property in the future, I have 2 people from YouTube that are first on my list to invite out. Well, that's awesome. Do you have a property that you're particularly looking at, or you're just kind of open to anything? Papa Rome says, that's cold, man. Yeah, that's a cold ride. I mean, people ride their snowmobiles and stuff around all winter long. I've never been real big in the snowmobiling, but I tell you, the last 3 or 4 years up here, the snowmobilers have not had a great time. Seems like we get a little bit of snow, and then it gets warm and starts melting it, and then we get really cold again, so it all turns to basically ice. And it's not been good snowmobiling weather for the last few years. This year we did get some good powder there early, and so far it's been okay, but it actually rained here it was Sunday night. It didn't rain a lot, but rain in January up in Minnesota is not good, and the roads ended up being pretty icy. When I went to work on Monday, I ended up only going about 10 to 15 miles an hour on my way to work, because the roads had just a layer of ice on them, and there was a lot of people going into the ditch and everything. Grant McIntosh says, just checked, I'm back down to 958. Well, what's up with that? I know sometimes YouTube glitches out. I've seen people, well, even Pusha Studios, they ended up losing like 4,000 subscribers one night. It was a glitch, of course, and it fixed itself and they got all back. But I do know sometimes YouTube glitches out. Bass and Bing says, hoping to get a nice property. Eventually, you and Strung Outdoors are on my list. Well, that's awesome, buddy. I look forward to it. That would be a fun trip. Speaking of icy roads, those popular black ice air fresheners should smell like asphalt. That's right, RWA. Papa Rome says YouTube was having some glitches today. Earlier, I couldn't watch anyone. Yeah, YouTube glitches out quite a bit. I experience that also where, well, not only does it kick me off live streams and stuff, but I'll find where I'll be watching a video and then all of a sudden it'll come up with, like, instead of the white and black screen that you used to get on like old TVs and stuff, it's like a black and white screen. It's just the opposite, but it's a snow screen, but it's just the opposite color. And I get that a lot when I'm watching videos. I'll have to refresh and load the video over again. I don't know why it does that, but. Dumbest Fisherman TV, checking in for a few. Hope you are well, man. I am doing fantastic. Thanks for stopping by. I hope your night is going well. Papa Rome says, well, they better get their monkeys together because we are all professionals here and need only the best. That's right, buddy. Jimmy C, I lost a few yesterday, but they were back this morning. Yeah, I do that too, where I'll lose. I swear I go back 2 or 3 every day, and then I'll jump forward, 5 or 6. It's weird that way. I've heard rumors that they do audits here and there. I don't know if this is true or not. I've just heard, that's why I call it rumors, but I've heard that they'll take some of your subscribers, they'll take them away, and they do an audit and see like where the IPs come from and stuff. And if everything checks out okay, they give you those back. I don't know if that's true or not, but they just kind of audit your subscribers every once in a while just to make sure that they're not like all coming from the same person or the same IP. I have no clue if that's true, but it is a theory that I have heard. The one thing about theories and stuff like that, I hear a lot of them, and a lot of times they're not true, so I don't always like spreading those rumors, but that one kind of made sense with just how YouTube works and how they've changed some things, of where they will come and audit your subscribers every once in a while and just pull a couple and do their thing, and as long as everything checks out, they give them back to you. But Papa Rome's Outdoor says, it's funny, I was watching a large channel for a while, had almost 600K, and then a few weeks later, like 557K, and never got them back, so they must be removing something. Yeah, they do that. They go through, and I know they remove like dead ones and deleted ones. So I've actually seen this on my channel when I look through my subscriber list and stuff, where like people that I'm subscribed to, where the channel that I'm subscribed to is deleted, but yet I'm still subscribed to them. And so YouTube goes through every once in a while and will delete all those channels out of people's subscriptions. So so it makes sense sometimes like that, especially with the bigger channel. Like if I was to delete my channel right now, the way that it looks to me is like all the people that are subscribed to me would still be subscribed to me. And then YouTube, every once in a while, I don't know if it's once a month or once a quarter or whatever, will go through and purge all that stuff out. So that's some of it. And I imagine with a bigger channel like that, you end up with a lot more deleted accounts and stuff like that. But I'll like not hear from somebody for a while, especially some of the channels that I first subscribed to when I started this. And I'll go through my subscriber list and find them, and I find out that they deleted their channel and they're not around anymore. But they're still on my subscriber list. Hillbilly Holler says 99% of the time we worry too much about how this modern stuff works. At the end of the day, technology will fail you. The question is, do you have the skills to live? That's right. That is right, Hillbilly. Hillbilly adds, do what you do and the rest will follow. That's correct. That's a really good statement right there. Tyler James Outdoors only needs 7 for 400. Well, you're closing in on that 400 milestone, buddy. If nobody has Tyler James, I encourage you to go check his channel out. Go hit up his last video, click the like button for him, leave him a nice comment too. Yeah, I find you know, a lot of times people worry about a lot of this YouTube stuff about, you know, losing subscribers, gaining them the 4,000 watch hours and the 1,000 subscribers and all that stuff, but you know, it never stops after that. I mean, once you hit 1,000 subscribers, you don't stop. You don't try. You know, you don't stop trying to grow. You don't stop trying to gain subscribers or watch time or views or anything. So, I mean, it's a great milestone, but the bar is always moving. You know, there's always another milestone, and there's another milestone after that. So, you know, 1,000 is just one step in the entire stair or the entire ladder. There's always a ladder above that. There's always a goal above that. Papa Rome says, have a question. You guys ever think how I ask on my videos, please subscribe, and we hit the big 1K, but then we went 5K, then 10, so on. What's the point anymore? Haha, I just love to hunt, fish, and trap and watch. Yeah, well, that's what I was saying. Like, the bar always moves. Like, you know, it's just one rung in the ladder. It's just one step on the stairs. There's more. I mean, Dumbest Fisherman TV says, I have 3 videos to upload. Computer and phone aren't talking. Damn test footage from my phone. Caught a 20-inch class sand bass last night. Have semi-okay footage. Well, that's pretty cool, buddy. Hooked catfish. How is it going, buddy? Hope your night is going fantastic. Cole Outdoor says, sorry, I'm listening in the other one and trying to watch here too. Does anyone know how to do an intro with Hangouts? I do not. RWA says, Hillbilly Holler. I totally agree. How many would just die without a cell phone, for example? That's right. You know, there's a lot of people, they go to the grocery store and they buy their jug of milk or whatever, but they have no clue on how to get that milk. I mean, they don't even know where it comes from. They have no clue. And even if you gave them a cow and said, okay, this cow has the milk in it, here you go, they would never get any. Bass and Minks TV says, have you ever tried Googan baits yet, Justin? I have. I actually was one of the first to get Googan baits. I pre-ordered them way before they actually started to sell them. I have tried every single one, and they're good baits. They work really well for us. We've caught a lot of fish on them. I do think that they smell pretty unique. They smell like powdered donuts to me, which is interesting, but they work pretty good. Have you tried them yourself? Hillbilly Holler says, the real people will see the truth. The couch bushcrafter is wine. Those who wish to learn don't care about popularity. A real channel will grow from information. Real people know real. Well, that's right. You got to be genuine. If you're not genuine, I mean, people know that, you know. Sooner or later, that comes out, and people usually get turned off by that. Swamp Stalker Outdoor says, Weekend Warrior Outdoors. I got to run, brother, but wanted to let you know. Check out my video I put out tomorrow. When you get a chance, have a good night. I will definitely do that, buddy. You have a great night, and thanks for stopping by. Dumbest Fisherman TV says, only cool if I manage to upload the damn thing. No Limit Cassie from JNC. How is it going? Good to see you. I hope your night is going fantastic. Lever Guns 50. How is it going, buddy? Thanks for stopping by. Papa Rome says, isn't that funny? You would see people in the store trying to milk an almond trying to get almond milk. You know, yes, I know somebody would try to do that. Hillbilly Hauler says, I haven't had a TV or cable in 15 years. Never got bored. I always fish with what I find. That's right. You know, we used to have satellite TV and stuff here, but we cut that off about 3 years ago. I haven't even had a satellite TV for about 3 years, and I can't say I miss it. Bass and Binks TV says, I haven't tried them, but I do own a pack of Kraken Craws and Bando Bugs. You know what? I think I did see, you did a video on that, I think. I remember that now. The Kraken Craw, you know, I really like crayfish. I fish a lot with any crayfish plastic. And I really like the Kraken Craw. It's good action. The pinchers really move. They have those little flanges at the end, and they really displace a lot of water, and they move through the water pretty nice. The Bandito Bug does the same too. It's a really good creature bait. True North Angler, how's it going, buddy? Thanks for stopping by. Much appreciated. I hope your night is going fantastic. One Cast, One Fish, how's it going? I apologize if I missed anybody coming in the chat. If I have, I hope your night is going fantastic. No Limit Cassie says, later, Hillbilly, looks like your channel's right up my alley. I'll check you out. That's right. I encourage everybody to check each other out in the chat. The only thing I ask is please don't use the subscribe word in the chat. Instead, go over to the person's channel, pull up a video, hit their like button, and leave them a nice comment. And guys, if you haven't already, please click that like button. It's always appreciated. One Cast, One Fish says, doing great. Well, that's fantastic. I'm glad to hear that. Bass and Binks TV, the Kraken Craw reminds me of a Rage-Tail Craw. Yeah, it does, and it works pretty good. I like, it's pretty soft too. All the Googan baits are really nice and soft. They feel really good. They have a good water density too, so when you're throwing them out there, like on a weightless presentation, they sink in the water pretty nice. They don't just sit out there and float. They do sink a little bit, so it works pretty good. We've caught a lot of fish on them. Cole Outdoor says, sorry, Weekend Warriors, about being distracted tonight. I got told how to do it. Hey, no problem, buddy. I just appreciate that you're here hanging out with us. Papa Rome says, was the ice saw you had homemade, or is that a common saw out by you in your last video? The thing was amazing. No, the ice saw was not homemade. That is something that is commercially made around here to cut holes in the ice. The saws themselves are a little expensive. You can pick them up for about $200. Once you get a saw, though, it pretty much lasts a lifetime. You just sharpen them. You can send them in to get sharpened, or you can sharpen them yourself, but the saw itself is pretty much razor sharp. It's like a knife, and how the teeth are, they're pretty serrated, and the teeth are pretty big, as you've probably seen in the video. When you use it and you're cutting the ice, it takes off a pretty big chunk of ice with each stroke up and down. It really takes no effort at all to cut through the ice. It's a pretty cool tool to get a bigger hole cut in the ice quickly. We will use chainsaws and stuff too at certain points in the year. The thing about a chainsaw is it does make a lot of noise, so it does scare the fish a little bit more, and it does make a bigger mess. It throws a lot of water. You do have to take out the oiler in the chainsaw, though, in order to use it, because of course If you have the oiler in the chainsaw, then you're putting the oil in the water, and that's against the rules because you're polluting the lake. But you can use them if you take the oiler out. True North Outdoor says, we are here to support each other. That's right. Again, mingle with each other, check each other out. Real 817 Fishing with CP. Good to see you. Thanks for stopping by. Much appreciated. Papa Rome says, wow, so amazing. Never saw them out here in New York. Really cool footage, man. Great video. Better get that cable for when you make it on TV. Yeah, it is pretty cool. I had a lot of good comments on that video and some private messages too. A lot of people really like that ice saw. I'll be doing another video with it maybe this weekend here. We'll be doing some more spearing, and maybe I'll go a little more in depth with the saw. RWA says, great seeing you, True North Angler. And guys, if you haven't already, please click that like button. It's always appreciated. And don't forget to check each other out in the chat. The only thing I ask is please don't use the subscribe word in the chat. Instead, go over to somebody's channel, grab their latest video, click that like button, and leave them a comment. RWA says, I don't know why some complain that the Googan baits are copies. The difference in anyone's baits can only be so. Yeah, that's right, RW. I mean, a crayfish bait is a crayfish bait is a crayfish bait. I mean, there's just subtle differences in every one between the weight, how they sink in the water, or if they stay suspended or float, color. But I mean, a basic crayfish design is pretty basic, especially worms too. I mean, a worm design is a worm design is a worm design. So yeah, they're not copies. I mean, they're good baits. I like the way they smell. I like how soft they are and stuff. I don't know if you've used them or not, but I really do think they smell like powdered donuts. If you ever get a pack, or if you do have a pack, sniff it and think about powdered donuts, and they smell just like powdered donuts. Outsider, how's it going, buddy? Thanks for stopping by. Much appreciated. Good to see you. One Cast One Fish says, I'm headed out. Gotta pack some decoys for tomorrow. All right, buddy. Decoys, are you going hunting? True North Angler says, the ice here in southern Ontario is as thin as paper. It's raining here and it's January. Well, that's not good news. It actually rained here in Minnesota too on Sunday night. We got a little bit of rain, not a lot, but a little bit. And that did not bode well for the roads. They got iced up pretty quick, and it was a slow ride to work on Monday morning. One Cast One Fish says, oh yeah, duck season. Well, that's awesome. Good luck to you. I hope you guys knock some out of the sky. Hopefully you're recording a video or something and we can all watch it later. Challenging the Outdoors says, are we telling real stories or fishing tales? Good evening, everyone. Good to see you. Thanks for stopping by. And we're just chatting about any stories. It isn't a good fishing story if it isn't a fishing tale, right? I swear the fish was this big. Bassaming says, good. Googan Baits got the patent from Rage Tail for the flanges on the baits. Yeah, they did. RWA says, I'll try some Googan Baits once my large supply of soft plastic gets low. Well, that's pretty cool. I would suggest using them. I mean, I bought some and I've caught a lot of fish on them. Outsider says powdered donuts. Yeah, they do though. They smell just like powdered donuts. I don't know how they got that, but the scent is hand down powdered donuts. Challenging the Outdoor says, haha, them fish are way bigger when you hold them close to the screen. That's right. That's right. You know, you got to take those pictures when you have your hands out like this, you know. That's why it's a lot easier with taking pictures of fish with a cell phone nowadays, because if you have it in your hand and you're taking a selfie, it's real easy to put that fish real close and make it look twice as big as it actually is. What helps too is, especially in the wintertime, you get a like a 10-inch auger, cut a 10-inch hole in the ice, and then you know, most people have that. Well, just use a smaller hole, and then the fish look bigger when you're videoing them and putting them down the hole. Bass and Minks TV says, "Gotta get those baits to you to try soon." Yeah, that'll be really cool. I'll definitely give them a try and see what we can catch on them. RWA says, "That's right, challenging the outdoors. I can make 2-pounder look like a 5-pounder. That's right." Or you do what I do and just have your 8-year-old come and then have your 8-year-old hold all the fish, so then they look just that much bigger too in the photos. That way, when an 8-year-old's holding a 4-pound bass, it looks like it's 8 pounds. Dumbest Fisherman TV says, "Nice coming by as always. Stepson is offering to help me with my video dilemma. Peace all, be well. Toad Sand Bass video coming soon." All right, buddy. Thanks for stopping by. I hope you get that video uploaded, and I'll be looking for it. RWA, you gonna do some fishing this weekend, or? If we have any luck, I might try a live video while we are out in the ice house this weekend doing our overnight stay. The problem with some of the lakes out there is I don't get real great cell phone service out there, so sometimes it's a little hard going live. But with any luck, I can find some cell service and maybe get some live footage of us fishing out in the ice house this weekend. I haven't tried any night fishing on the lake yet this season. My brother last Saturday, he was out fishing on the lake, and he stayed out until like 9 o'clock and said that he ran into some crappies and stuff out there. So I do think that they're starting to bite right after sunset. RWA says, "I have to fish alternate spots. The government shutdown has closed my favorite lakes." Really? That would suck. That would really suck. Papa Rome says, "Do you find ice spearing more productive at night?" Here in Minnesota, we cannot spear at night. We have to spear between sun up and sunset. So those are the only hours that we can spear from. But we are planning on doing an overnight, so we're gonna go out there on Saturday early in the morning. We'll get our spear house set up and we'll spear during the day. And then I have my angling house. It's been out there for the last few weeks now. And we set up cots and stuff in there, and then we'll spend the night out on the ice, and then we'll do some angling through the night. So in Minnesota, with the spearing, we get only spear through sunup and sunset. You can only spear from a dark house during the winter. The season starts in like mid-November and runs through mid-February. You can spear for northern pike, you can spear catfish, you can spear like all the rough fish, so like suckers and carp and so forth and so on. You can't spear muskies, you can't spear walleyes, you can't do any of that. But we do see a lot of walleyes even coming through the hole. But with spearing, that decoy that we use, there's a few different kinds. There's a wooden decoy that we use, and then we also use a live sucker minnow. We have not done that yet this year, but we will on Saturday. You can buy sucker minnow decoys, and they range from anywhere from like 12 inches up to like 20 inches long. You put them on a harness and you dangle them down the hole, and they'll just kind of swim around down there, and they'll attract the northerns too. They work pretty well. They're kind of expensive though. Usually they sell those for like $8 or $9 a piece, but they do work pretty good. And then with the other decoys, the wooden decoys, they're weighted and such, so they kind of swim through the water when you have them on the string and you're pulling the string, and they kind of swim through the water, and they're looking like a fish that's injured down there. And they come in a wide variety of colors. I have a few different ones, like a red and white, a pink tiger striped one, and then a perch colored one. But they come in just about any color that you can think of. A lot of people even make handmade ones. In Minnesota, that's actually kind of a big deal. They have a couple festivals or get-togethers where people show off their handcrafted decoys and stuff. And some of those handcrafted ones actually sell for hundreds of dollars, depending on who makes them and who paints them and who hand carves them and all that stuff. So. Papa Roams Outdoor says, "Gotta run, guys. Thanks for having me." Well, thanks for stopping by. It's always appreciated, and I hope you have a fantastic evening. I think my dad is actually gonna try to make a decoy or two, hand carve it and hand paint it and everything. So that'll be pretty cool too. I have personally never made one though. Not yet, anyway. I find though that color definitely plays a factor in how successful you are with the decoy. The way that it swims through the water too is a big part. Like you want one that's weighted right, where it sinks, but it's not too heavy, where it's a little bit of buoyance in the water. So when you're swimming it, when it comes up, it'll sink kind of slower and not just drop down to the end of the string again. It looks a little more realistic to them, looks more like a wounded fish, and the pike react to that a lot more. And sometimes bright colored decoys work better than dark colored. It just kind of depends on. I find that a really nice shiny neon kind of colored paint works better in stained water if the water is a little muddy or a little dirty. Then in a clearer lake, it tends to be a little darker colors, a little more natural colors work a little better. But sometimes those pike, they like a decoy that's just sitting there, not moving at all. And sometimes they like a lot of action, where you can just sit there and swim that bait a lot, and they'll just keep coming in and trying to smash the decoy. A lot of the times they'll come in and they'll grab that decoy, they'll spit it out, and they'll turn back around and they'll come back to eat it. So the first time when they come in, they're just trying to stun the fish, give it a quick bite, kind of stun it, then they come back around to eat it. So a lot of times when you see a fish come in and it strikes at it, if you jig it a little bit more, they're just off to the side and they'll come right back in. I've seen where they're really aggressive, where they'll come in 100 miles an hour, they'll hit the decoy, and they'll come back around, or sometimes they just come in really slow. They'll sit right in front of it. They'll hit it a couple times with the edge of the nose because they kind of want it to move to trigger that strike. And they'll just sit there and nudge it with their nose a little bit. There's times where you know, you don't want to move the decoy at all because it's just the mood they're in. They're more curious. They're not really out there to eat, but they just come in out of curiosity to see what it is. I've had the live sucker minnows down there before, and some pike, they come in and they just hammer them. They tend to hold on to the sucker minnows a little bit more than they do like a wooden decoy, but they'll come in and grab them, and they'll just want to rip them right out of the harness and, you know, take them away. RWA Fishing says, how are the kids and the Pioneer women doing? They're doing great. Jackson is doing pretty good. He is off to bed, of course. James is doing well too, except for today. I think he's coming down with something. He's got a little bit of a fever today, so I think he's getting a little sick. But the wife is upstairs with them, putting them to bed, getting them all tucked in for the night. So, but thanks for asking, RWA. Jackson, I don't remember if you were in earlier when I talked about that, but Jackson got his first fish with the spear on Sunday, so that was pretty good for him. He had thrown it 3 other times, so this was the 4th time that he's thrown the spear, and he did connect with a 23-inch pike, so he was pretty excited about that. We didn't get the throwing of the spear on camera, but we got the retrieval of the fish. I was helping him a little bit too much to be able to video it, but that particular pike came in really quick, hot and heavy, and grabbed the decoy a couple times, and then I was actually raising the decoy up to the surface to get him up closer so it'd be an easier throw for him, and I was able to coax the pike up about 2 feet under the ice, so it was right there for him. That's another thing with the spearing, is that not only are you trying to coax the fish within the hole, but you can actually coax them up too by raising the lure. When they come in, they'll come up for it, and I've seen pike actually come up inside the hole above the ice line. In Minnesota here too, you can angle out of your spear hole too. In past years, they had that against the law, but I don't remember what it was, 4 or 5 years ago, they changed that to where you can angle out of the hole. So you're allowed 2 lines, or two lines in the wintertime. So your spear counts as a line, and then you can have 1 angling line in the hole too. The only thing that you can't do is you can't use like sunfish or perch or anything as bait for spearing. You can use sucker minnows or rough fish, but you cannot use a game fish. So if you do catch like a perch or something on your rod, you have to pull them out of the water right away. You can't leave them dangling in the water to try to coax a northern to come in. I get kind of jealous with some of the videos and stuff on YouTube where some states allow you to use sunfish and perch and stuff as bait, because that would work pretty good up here, but unfortunately we are not allowed to do that. But especially like catfish and stuff, there's a lot of catfish that are eating on sunfish around here, but we got to use artificial lures and stuff that look like sunfish instead of the real thing. RWA says, throwing that spear, I just picture myself in a red suit with a ponytail. Yeah. With a ponytail, yeah. Yeah, it kind of looks like, yeah. Yeah, it's a pretty wicked thing. There's different types of spears that you can use too. There's ones that have more tines and less tines and are wider and a little heavier and stuff. My spear is about 5 pounds. Um, it's got some pretty big barbs in the tines, so when I do hit a fish with it, I've never had a fish come off. But there's some other spears that are a little lighter even, and have smaller tines on them. I have seen people lose fish after they spear them. But I always like to have another spear with, as you've seen in the video. I did end up sticking that fish again. I don't think I had to, but it's better to be safe than sorry. You know, I don't want to lose the fish when trying to pull it up, but I always do like to have an extra spear along just in case if you need to throw another one to ensure that you know, you're not just wounding a fish and it's getting off. So. But so far to date, of all the fish that I've speared, I've never lost a fish off of a spear or anything. So I've missed a few here and there. They do get pretty wise, especially if they have their eyes on you. You try to keep the house as dark as you can. That way, not only can you see down the hole better, but they can't see up. All they're seeing is just a black image up there, and they're not being able to see a shadow or your movement or anything. But there are times where either the rope on the spear, you know, is wrapped around like your chair leg or something, and you just don't notice it. So when you throw it, it moves the spear off target. Or I've hit the ice before on a throw, and once you hit the ice on a throw, the fish can feel that and hear that, and then they dart away. But they are pretty quick once you throw the spear, especially the deeper water you're into. The deepest water that I've ever speared in is 15 feet. That is quite deep for spearing, but I usually put the decoy down about 4 or 5 feet, and I try to coax the fish up. But usually we're spearing in 10 feet or less. There's times where we're spearing in about 4 feet of water or so under the ice, but that particular video we were spearing in 8 feet of water. My biggest fish to date on spearing anyway is about 10.5 pounds. I have not speared one bigger than that yet, but 10.5 pound fish though is still pretty good. It's fun when those big ones come in. They're almost a little intimidating when a fish comes in and it looks like it could jump up the hole and grab your boot and pull you back under. One of these days too, I got to get out and pull all my trail cameras. I still have trail cameras out on our deer hunting grounds. They've been out there for quite a while. I'm sure the batteries are long dead, but I would imagine that they have quite a few pictures of some good deer on there. The last time that I went out and checked them was, I think, mid-November. So they've been out there for a couple months now. Big Fish, how's it going? Good to see you. Thanks for stopping by. Hey folks, speared a 12-pound eel. Well, that's pretty cool. That's a big eel. I personally have never speared an eel before, but that is a good size eel. So far, the only thing I've ever speared is just the northerns. I've never seen a catfish while spearing. Like I said, they do allow you to spear catfish, but I have never seen one. Usually in the wintertime, they're pretty much buried kind of in the mud low to the bottom in the deeper pockets, and I think it would be pretty rare to see a catfish up in the shallow water in the wintertime. There has been some pretty big catfish, though, caught through the ice around here. Last year, there was a woman that ended up catching, I believe it was just under 20 pounds, a channel cat through the ice, which on an ice fishing rod, that catching a fish like that is quite a fight. RWA says big fish. That's a huge eel. Eel are very tasty too, close in taste to a shark. Bass and Binks TV, do you have mud puppies? I do not. No, we don't have any mud puppies around here. There's a lot of different fish. There's more different species of fish, I would say, in the rivers, where that's where you start running into like the freshwater drum and stuff like that, and those get pretty big around here too. I enjoy catching the freshwater drum just because they do put up a really good fight, especially in the river when they start hooking the current and stuff. River fishing is always fun because it seems like it adds at least 4 or 5 pounds onto the fish fighting it in the current. Big Fish says, yes, I show on one of my videos how to skin an eel. Well, that's pretty cool. I'll have to check that out. And guys, if you haven't already, please click that like button. It's always appreciated. And don't forget to check each other out in the chat too. A lot of good channels out there. The only thing I ask is please don't use a subscribe word in the chat. Instead, go to somebody's channel, pull up one of their videos, hit the like button, and leave them a comment. Big Fish, you got any plans for this weekend, getting out and fishing or anything? You know, Jackson and I are planning on doing an overnight out in the ice house this weekend. It's going to be our first overnight of the year. We usually try to get out there a few times and do some overnights in the ice house, but I enjoy camping and stuff, and it's kind of a way to do some winter camping. So we plan on doing some more spearfishing on Saturday, and then we're going to head over to the angling house later on in the day and see if we can't get into a crappie bite toward the evening. Big Fish says smelt fishing through the ice. Well, that'll be fun. Bass and Binks TV says, dude, you know freshwater drum are in the same family as redfish. Yeah, they are. I've actually eaten them too a few times. I mean, they're not terribly bad. I had them smoked, which is really good. Really, any fish smoked is good, but I have eaten them fried too before. RWA says, I hated catching eels while catfishing. Have to knock them out fast, or else you're in it for good line tangle. I bet I'm sure they wrap around. That would make sense. I know we have eel pout up here in Minnesota. It's actually a pretty big thing. They have a big eel pout festival, and thousands of people come out on the lake and they go fishing eel pout and have an eel pout dinner and all that stuff. I have never gone to the ice fishing tournament though, but I have followed it for many years, and it's pretty cool. I just never fished in the tournament itself. All of our ice fishing tournaments are going to be starting here. They usually end up starting at the end of January and then the first couple weeks in February. They always wait a little later on just to make sure all the ice is good to go, because thousands of people will go out on the ice and they drill thousands of holes, and everybody's pretty much fishing shoulder to shoulder, and some of those ice fishing tournaments are pretty big in the wintertime. Big Fish says we spear them. Yeah, that's We just did some spearing up here in Minnesota where we speared for northern pike. I've always enjoyed spearing fish. It's a lot of fun. It kind of is mixing hunting and fishing together, which makes it pretty interesting. But we'll participate in some ice fishing tournaments, I believe. There's a couple of them that are more kid oriented too that will be going on at the end of the month, where they give the kids prizes and stuff. So they usually give them some rods and tackle and stuff like that. And there's a big ice fishing tournament up in Devils Lake, North Dakota too that I have fished in many times. I enjoy the ice fishing tournaments as well as the summer fishing open water tournaments too. But Bass and Minks TV says 1 rod, 1 reel just hit 1 million. Well, that's pretty cool. I know he was closing in on that 1 million mark. It's good that he's out making videos again. I always enjoyed watching him. Yeah, and with any luck, if we get some cell service out there, we'll do a live video out on the ice this weekend, and hopefully we'll be catching some crappies and be able to show that live. It'll be pretty neat. A buddy of mine was out there over the weekend fishing for crappies and stuff, and they caught a few 12-inch crappies, which is not a bad fish. So I would take a few of those. The fish, the lake has some pretty good crappie fishing. At least it did last year. We haven't really targeted them yet this year, but last year we had some really good crappie fishing out on that lake, and some really good sun fishing too, where we were catching, really regular 9-inch fish for the sunfish, and I even caught some 11-inchers out of there too. So hopefully there's a few of those still out there, and we can run into them over the weekend. Bass and Beans TV says, if I have data in the stand, I may go live when I go down to Hunter's cabin. That'd be pretty cool too. I've watched a few people do some live streams while out hunting, which is pretty neat. Jag was doing that when he was deer hunting, I don't know, a month or two ago or whatever it was when his season was going on. And I seen him shoot a couple deer, which was pretty cool. One rod, one reel can say 1 million like Dr. Evil. Yeah, I think, I don't know if it was the very first video I've watched of one rod, one reel or not, but it was one of the first, if it wasn't the first, was when he did that one video where he intentionally fell through the ice and he was showing how to get out and stuff. I thought that was pretty funny. I was like, I don't know. I wouldn't voluntarily jump into the icy water. There's polar plunges that they do up here in Minnesota, and I'm sure they do them in other places too. But they get together and they cut a big hole in the ice, and people jump in just for the fun of it. They'll dress up in costumes and whatnot, and just take the polar plunge for the fun of it. Which I don't know if I'd ever do that, but it is fun to watch. I always go and spectate anyway, and it is fun watching them doing it. It's funny, but I think the funniest skit that I seen somebody do was they They were dressed. They had like a rubber inner tube around them that was like a little ducky, and they were like in their bathrobe attire and stuff, like they were going to take a bath. They even had like a shower cap on and stuff. And he had this bucket of ice, and he went over there and stuck his toe in the water, and was like, "No, no, no, that's not cold enough." And he threw his bucket of ice in, and then he jumped in. I laughed pretty hard on that. Vassenbink says that one is a classic. Yeah, it is. That was pretty funny when he did that. Big Fish. I did a polar swim New Year's -14. Yeah, that's. There's a lot of people that do that. I don't think I'll ever do that, but it is fun watching people. There's a polar plunge that's in a small town that's like 10 miles from me, where they do it in a pond, and I'll probably go watch them do that again this year. But RWA says, I couldn't do a polar plunge. I can't even do a cold shower. Yeah, I know. I couldn't imagine. I've heard, I've known people that have done it, and they say it's not as bad as it sounds, which, how they explained it to me kind of makes sense. But so, like, if you imagine the air temperature is, negative, 2 degrees or something, and you jump in the water, and the water is above freezing because it's open water. It's not frozen. So you're going from super cold into not so cold water relative to the air temperature. They said it feels a little warmer. When you get back out, though, that's when it starts getting really cold, because of course you're coming out of the water, you're all wet, and then you come out in sub-zero temperatures. But they usually have warming houses and stuff out there where you go in there right away and get dried off and get dressed and stuff. But it makes sense that that it's not as cold as one would think. But Big Fish says, "Yep." So I know that you said that you did a polar plunge, and so you would know firsthand if that's true or not. But I have heard people say that, and it does make sense to me that if the air temperature is colder than the water, that it would actually feel warmer jumping in than out in the open. So it does make sense to me. Fireball works good for warming up, yeah. You might have to drink a few before you jump in. Get you good and warm inside before you take the plunge. Is it something that you've done many times, Big Fish, or did you just do it this past New Year's, or have you taken the plunge before? I've had people that say that I should do it, but I don't know if I could. I'd have to really be talked into it before I did it. Yes, you've done many. That's pretty cool. Do you dress up in a big outfit and stuff too to take the plunge, or? Because some of them that I've been to, they get all dressed up and do a little skit and stuff. Some of them, I don't know, dance, or they have a little theme before they jump in, which some of them are quite comical. If you don't mind me asking, Big Fish, where are you located? What state, or? I know in Minnesota here we have quite a few of those polar plungers. Okay, you're up in Canada. Yeah, we have quite a few of them here in Minnesota throughout the year, where different festivals, winter carnivals and stuff, they usually have a polar plunge also. I think comparing air temperature to water temperature is a trick to get you to jump in. Water cools your body 7 times faster than the air, but I'm just joking. Yeah, I don't know. Maybe someday I'll get talked into doing it. It would make a pretty cool video, I guess. Maybe once I like hit some kind of milestone, like some big milestone, and when I hit 10,000 or 5,000 or something, I'll take a plunge into a frozen lake or something. We'll cut a big hole with the big ice saw that we have, and I'll jump in and wade in there for a while. Do some underwater spearing in the winter. Yeah, I've seen people like take their pedal bikes and stuff too, and get on that and ride that right in the water, and it gets to be kind of comical with some of the skits people do. I don't know people that do this, but I have seen some YouTube videos though of people setting up like temporary like saunas and stuff out on the frozen lake, and they'll cut a hole in the ice, and they'll sit in the sauna, and then they'll go jump into the cold lake, and then sit in the sauna and go back and forth and back and forth. And that's something that maybe I would do. You know, if I had a nice warm sauna to go into right after jumping in the lake, that wouldn't be so bad. Problem sometimes is getting through ice 3 feet thick. Yeah, that is true. The ice can get really thick certain times of the year. How thick is your guys' ice up there right now? Right now in Minnesota, we're sitting at anywhere between 16 and 20 inches of ice, depending on what lake you're on. Which for this time of the year, it's a little behind schedule. Usually we have, you know, well over 20 inches by now, but the past several years, we've had some pretty weird winters around here where we'll get some cold snaps, but then we'll warm up to like above freezing and get rain and stuff. It's been pretty crazy the last few years with the winters. Big Fish says 24 inches here now. Well, that's pretty good ice. Logan Rowe, welcome back, buddy. Good to see you. Yeah, I'm going to be on for a couple more minutes anyway. We've just been chatting about polar plunges, where people cut holes in the ice and they jump into the lake for the fun of it. I threw out the idea of maybe when I hit some big milestone or something, I'll do a polar plunge. I've never done a polar plunge in my life. I've gone to many of them though, and I watch them. They're quite comical with some of the skits and stuff people do. No, Logan, I have not done one yet, but I would do it, I guess, for a milestone of some sort, though. Big Fish says saltwater here. Yeah, it's all freshwater here, of course, in Minnesota. So what do you fish for mostly there, Big Fish? Logan Rowe, do you have any plans for this weekend? Any adventures planned? I know you were in earlier, I don't know if you heard or not, but Jackson and I plan on spending the night out in the ice house this weekend. We're going to do some more spear fishing, and then we'll do some evening angling for crappies. And who knows, maybe we'll catch a walleye or two also. Everything like fishing striped bass. Fun. Yeah, striped bass are really fun to catch. That's one thing I haven't really done a lot of is saltwater fishing. I hope to one day. It's kind of like a bucket list thing for me that I thought about this past summer. But I want to fish in every state in the United States. So we're gonna start a list, and I don't know if we'll have some kind of goal to complete it in. I don't know what the time frame will be, but I think it'd be really cool to get out and fish in every state in the United States, including Alaska and Hawaii. Logan Rowe says gun season for deer is over, so that should open up some woods for me to coyote hunt this weekend. Well, good luck to you if you get out. It's one thing I haven't done a lot of is the coyote hunting, but I have been out a couple times, but I have not been successful while I'm out hunting yet. RWA says I've got to get to work on my one fish and shout out video, going to try to post it Thursday. Good night all. Well, thanks for hanging out, RW. It's always appreciated. You have a fantastic night. Logan Roll says that's super cool. I want to catch a fish in every state too. Yeah, I think that would be pretty cool. You would really get to see a lot of different techniques and stuff of catching fish. Big Fish says, bluefin tuna here, 1,200-pound fish. Those are fun. That would be really fun, tuna fishing. I've watched several videos of people tuna fishing, and that looks like a lot of fun catching one of those. Logan Roll says they can be tricky, those yotes. Yeah, they sure can. I've shot yotes before. While I'm hunting for them, I never shoot one. It's always when I'm like in the deer stand, or if I've shot some while I'm goose hunting. But I've just never actually shot one while trying to hunt for them. It's always been incidental, where they've either just walked by me or actually stalking the goose decoys, which was pretty cool. One time we had some goose decoys set out, and we were alongside this creek bottom. And we were set up in the cattails, and coyote came stalking our decoys and actually walked right in front of us about 20 yards, back turned to us, and he was down low stalking toward the decoys, had no clue we were there. Big Fish says most points on a deer you shot. 10 points. And my wife shot a 10-point deer. She shot that with a muzzleloader her first year out hunting ever, which was 3 years ago. That had scored just under 130 inches. So it was a good first deer. Actually got that one mounted for her, and it's up in the living room. And then the very next year she went out archery hunting, and she got her first archery deer. And then this season she did not hunt. We had a newborn in April, so she kind of took off the fishing season and the hunting season, but we'll probably get back into it this year because James will be a little bit older and he'll be able to go with us on some of the adventures. So what was your first buck? My first buck would have been a button buck. That was my very first buck. Deer hunting for me is relatively new. I haven't been hunting deer for many years. I started, it was 4 years ago when I started really hunting deer, or I've hunted deer for 4 years. What I really grew up doing was waterfowl hunting. I did that at a pretty young age, and I carried that through for a long time, and I still do a lot of waterfowl hunting today. It's probably one of my more favorite things to hunt, just because it has a special place with me. But deer hunting we got into, like I said, about 4 years ago, and we've been hunting every season. But so I haven't shot a lot of deer in my life, but I've shot a lot of waterfowl. We started turkey hunting also 3 years ago, and so far we've been successful every year. This last year, Jackson was able to shoot his first turkey, so that was really cool. Big Fish says, many Canadian geese there. Yeah, we have a lot of Canadian geese around here. Of course, they're all gone right now, but they all went down south. I shouldn't say that they're all gone. There's actually a lot of geese that winter here in Minnesota. They don't all just fly down south. We have several spots where they'll winter all winter here. There's a couple like water treatment facilities and stuff where they have open water, and they'll stay there all winter long. They'll go out to the fields and dig down through the snow and eat. And there's a couple sugar beet plants around here where they grow sugar beets. Is a pretty big thing around here, and they pile those up through the winter while they're making them into sugar. And they'll actually pump some warmer air through them through big fans. And the geese will go up on those piles and sit on them, and they'll lay down and they'll soak up that warm air. So when it's a really cold night out, you know, when it gets to be like 17, 18 below zero, they'll go sit up on those piles and they'll suck in that warm air, and they will not move. You can walk on those piles and literally pick up the geese, and they won't move or anything. They just want to sit there and suck up all that hot air. Hook and Hunt TV says, I'm making a raccoon hunting video with dogs. Hopefully on Friday night. This weekend is going to be coyote hunting, squirrel hunting, and rabbit hunting. Well, that sounds awesome. I look forward to watching those videos. And I hope you find some luck out there this weekend. Yeah, Big Fish, it is pretty neat. You know, we'll even have some mallards and stuff winter up here too. There's not nearly as much, but as much as the geese, but there is some mallards that will stop in winter with the geese also. So not all the geese fly south. All the local geese do, but some of them from Canada will stop here in winter. They must be a little hardier, the ones up north more. They tolerate a lot colder temperatures. There's actually a spot where they winter that's just a couple miles from where I work, and so we have geese flying over like daily throughout the winter. They're always teasing me. Big Fish says some geese stay here too. Yeah, we have a fair amount of snow geese too that fly through during the migration. They have a spring season on them too, as they fly back north. Snow geese is getting really hard though to hunt because of that 2-season window. They see people going north, and they also see people coming south hunting them. Around here anyway, they tend to be pretty flighty. I've seen flocks of geese, snow geese, out in a field where they're in the middle of a section. You know, they're half a mile away from any road, and if you stop the truck, they'll just get up and fly. They're used to seeing trucks, you know, move, but as soon as a truck stops, they'll just get up and fly out of the field because they're so used to a truck stopping and then somebody going and trying to hunt them. Hook and Hunt TV says it's supposed to get down to 28 degrees in Ohio. Tonight it's supposed to be pretty cold here in Minnesota. We've been pretty nice for the last like 4 days. It's been above freezing, and we actually hit 40 one day. But the wind switched around to the north today, blowing at 30 miles an hour, gusting over 40. and it's supposed to get down into the low single digits tonight. Tomorrow it's supposed to be about the same, and then the wind's supposed to switch around for us and warm us up a little bit. So it is going to be brutally cold here tonight here also. We had wind chills down upwards of 20 plus below zero, so it's been pretty blustery today. But it was pretty crazy. On Sunday we ended up getting some rain, so it's pretty unusual for us to have rain in January, and that usually doesn't bode very well for us because if it rains it usually freezes and there's a lot of ice, and Monday morning when I was driving to work the roads were pretty icy. There's not going to be ice fishing on Lake Erie this year. Yeah, I bet not. It's pretty crazy. I've seen some videos of people fishing on the Great Lakes like that, and where the ice, you know, the wind switches and it blows the ice sheet out in the lake and stuff, and people get stranded. It's pretty crazy. That happened on Red Lake last spring, where people were out there on late ice, and there was some open water and stuff out in the middle. And a sheet of ice broke off, and they floated out on it, and they had to go do some airboat rescues and stuff. Well, guys, yeah, if you haven't already, please click that like button. Don't forget to click the subscribe button also. And I encourage you guys to check each other out in the chat. The only thing I ask is please don't use a subscribe word in the chat. Instead, go to somebody's channel, pull up a video, hit their like button, and leave them a comment. Well, I'm going to butcher your name, and I apologize, but hello, Koya? And I apologize if I said that wrong, but I appreciate you stopping by. I hope you're having a fantastic night. Cole Outdoors says, so what's going on? Hi, buddy. Well, we just been chatting and chatting a lot about, what did we chat about? We're chatting about polar plunges, which was pretty interesting. I don't know, Cole, if you've ever done a polar plunge or have gone and watched a polar plunge, but where people cut holes in the ice and jump in just for the fun of it. Bass and Mink says, Erie is dangerous lake, I tell you. It can be 1 foot waves, then 10 minutes later it can be 6 foot waves. Yeah, that's right. You know, when you have a big open water like that, it doesn't take much wind to make some pretty big waves. I have personally not fished the Great Lakes yet, but I definitely hope to do that one day here. I've had some buddies go out there and fish, and it looks like a pretty good time. Hook and Hunt TV says, I went smallie fishing, walleye fishing, and perch fishing on Lake Erie with a good buddy of mine named Jonathan Shoemaker. Shoemaker Outdoors on YouTube video of me catching my first smallie. Well, that's awesome. How big was your first smallie? Big Fish says it's a dangerous lake. He's sailed on it. Yeah, I've watched several videos and stuff of people, well, not only getting stuck on the ice and stuff, but also, like you said, when the waves come up, getting stuck out on the waves. It's pretty interesting. If the wind can be coming out of the right direction and everything's fine in a bay or something, and then the wind switches around and yeah, pushes all the waves from the main lake up into a bay, it can get pretty dicey pretty quick. I've told this story before, but maybe some of you haven't heard it, but I do have a kind of an interesting wind or wave story. I get to catch a smallie. Got stuck 3 miles out in Lake Huron in a canoe. Was not too much fun. No, that would not be too much fun, Cole. Hook and Hunt TV says it was only about 1 pound, but I caught another one that was about 1.5 pounds, and then another one about 3. Well, that's pretty good. A 3-pound smallies, nothing wrong with that. Pound for pound, they fight pretty good, those smallies. But yeah, I many years ago, a buddy of mine had a boat, and he never really drove the boat. For some reason, I was the one that always was driving the boat and whatnot. And we went out fishing when the wind was gusting above 30 miles an hour, almost 40. And we went out on this lake that the access was pretty guarded from the wind. So around there wasn't much wind, and we could get across the lake into a bay that was protected by the wind and do some fishing. So we decided to go out there. So we put the boat on the water and headed across the lake, and everything was fine. And we ended up catching some fish, and for some reason we ended up beaching the boat up there, and we got out and we just kind of started walking the shore and fishing and walking the shore and fishing. And we did this for a while, and we were catching fish pretty good. And we got, I don't know, about 100 yards or something from the boat. So my buddy said, you know, well, I'll go back to the boat and grab it and bring it up here, so that way we can maybe catch some fish and stuff out of the boat. So he went over there, got in the boat, pushed off, and I see him, you know, starting to get blown across the lake, and he still doesn't start the motor or anything. He's still not coming, and he ends up getting blown all the way across the lake. And I don't know what's wrong. You know, something's happening. He's waving his arms, trying to get, you know, my attention. He's yelling. I can't hear him. The lake wasn't super big, but with the wind blowing, I couldn't hear him. He couldn't hear me. All I knew is that he's waving paddles up in the air, and he's trying to get me to walk over there. So after about 45 minutes or so, I decide to start walking around the lake, and you know, it's a fairly good walk. I've got to walk about 1.5 miles or close to 2 miles to get to him, and I've got to walk through the this creek that dumps in the lake, and I've never been over there before, but I knew that it was going to be a little wet or whatever. And I get to that spot, and I test out the water, and the water's not that deep, but the problem was that the mud was at least 3 feet deep. So I had about 6 inches of water and 3 feet of mud that I had to wade through. I got through that and got up over to the boat, and the problem was that he never really drove his boat before, and he didn't know how to lower the trim down. So he could get the motor started and everything, but he couldn't get it into the water in order to drive the boat back over to us. So when he pushed out, the wind just took him and blew him all across the lake. So I ended up having to walk through about 15 yards of cattails to get up to the water where the boat was. And right when I grab onto the front of the boat, I'm not kidding, I hear, "Oh, I got it," and he lowers the motor down in the water. And I was like, you know, you could have just, you know, stopped trying, because I walked all the way and just said, hey, yeah, I don't know, just sat there and ate, you know, some chips and a pop. But he ended up getting it like right when I got out there, and I technically didn't have to walk all that way and go through the mud, but years later, we talk about that quite often, and we have a good laugh about the time that he didn't know how to put the motor down and ended up getting blown across the lake. Riverbend Longbows Outdoors. How is it going, buddy? Good to see you. Thanks for stopping by. Much appreciated. I hope your night is going well. Do you have any plans this weekend getting out in the outdoors? And for anybody new in the chat, I do appreciate it if you click that like button. And if you haven't already, click the subscribe button. It's always appreciated. And I do encourage people to check each other out in the chat. The only thing I ask is don't use the subscribe word. Instead, go to somebody's channel, check out their last video, click their like button, and leave them a comment. Hook and Hunt TV says, I'm going to make a whole series of hunting videos this weekend. Stay tuned. I hope you all enjoy. Well, I can't wait, buddy. I'll look forward to watching those. Big Fish says, great chat, fun. Well, I appreciate it, buddy. But yeah, we got to get our permits or registered for our turkey lottery here. So the deadline for that is on the January 25th here in Minnesota, where they do a lottery for the spring turkey season. Here in Minnesota, we have several one-week seasons. They start in mid-April, and they run through April and May. And the first two seasons of the year they do a lottery on, so the A and B season. And I always like hunting the A season. It's over my birthday week, and I always enjoy getting out there and getting a birthday turkey. So I had to get my name into the drawing and see if we don't get drawn this year. I've either been drawn or been able to buy a surplus ticket, a license every year, so I've been able to hunt that first season every year. But Bass and Bing says, I can't wait to go down to the cabin and film the hunt. Hook and Hunt TV, me and Josh, Bass and Bing's TV, are going to be doing some deer hunting vlog videos here in a few weeks. Yeah, that'll be really cool. Logan Roll, you have some really cool edits. He does. He has some really cool videos. There's a lot of good channels in the chat, a lot of good creators, a lot of good content, a lot of good supporters also. So I do encourage you guys to check each other out. And like I said, just go to somebody's channel, check out one of their videos, click their like button, leave them a comment. And we can all grow together. Well, guys, I do think I'm going to call it a night. I've been on for 2.5 hours. I do appreciate everybody hanging out with me tonight. It is always appreciated. I hope everybody has a fantastic night. And if anybody's doing anything this weekend, I hope that you find some luck in the outdoors. Be safe, everybody, and we'll see you next time.